Once you identify an intervention or a strategy that you'd like to try with a person, you have a responsibility to collect data within your practice to evaluate whether a practice is effective for that particular person, family, group, or setting. Resist the urge to try new strategies without a clear plan. Instead, use a systematic approach. Like a scientist, you can create new evidence. This is also called data-based decision-making. Here's how it works. Suppose you are an OT working in the schools where you and the educational team have decided to try dynamic seating for a student to improve on-task behaviors. Step 1. Define behavior. Identify the undesirable behavior the student is currently doing. Be factual, be objective, be specific. For example, student A is rocking in his chair back on 2 legs, getting out of his seat frequently, drumming on his desk, requiring multiple reminders to get back to work, and taking a long time to complete his work. Then define the desirable behavior that you want the student to do instead of the undesirable behavior. Focus on something that matters, like participation, not interventions. Observe a reference person for comparison, like another student in the classroom or students. Consider authentic context, not therapy. For example, you want student A to complete his seat work in 30 minutes with 1 reminder or less, which is similar to the other students in the class. Step 2. Identifying the strategy or intervention. Develop a working hypothesis about the behavior. Using if-then statements leads you to a plan consistent with your hypothesis. For example, if student A needs to move, then finding opportunities to move throughout the day will increase the student's work productivity. Although you are curious about dynamic seating and movement breaks, you and the team decide to try seating in isolation first. Outline your intervention plan in detail. Describe exactly what the intervention or intervention package will include, such as frequency, duration, intensity, place, time of day. Determine how you will assess the behavior. Remember to include who will measure the behavior. Define criteria for success, which includes time frame. Identify how and when you will gather data. This is the decision-making plan. Step 3. Collect baseline data for at least 3 to 5 times before the introduction of the new intervention or strategy. For student A, you could measure a variety of things during AM math time, for example, for 5 consecutive days, such as how long it takes him, student A, to complete a single worksheet in minutes, how many times he leaves his work, his body loses contact with the desk and chair, how long he stays in his seat in minutes, what is the quality of the work, its accuracy, legibility, and acceptability. Step 4. Implement the intervention plan and continue intervention for a predetermined amount of time. For example, provide student A with the dynamic seating during the AM math time. Step 5. Measure behavior and collect data in a systematic way within the authentic context, just as you did in the baseline phase. Summarize data using a graph or chart, then monitor progress periodically. Analyze stability, trend, and level of the visual data. Determine if the intervention plan is effective by comparing intervention phase to the baseline phase. Discuss progress with the educational team. Consider satisfaction as well as performance and participation. Evaluate and decide whether to continue, modify, or discontinue the intervention or strategy. This classical material was adapted from Dunn 2008, which continues to be highly relevant related to our value and commitment to evidence-informed practice.